tensions are starting to mount in Philadelphia. According to Charania, ESPN NBA insider, the 76ers are beginning to have frustrations with Joel Embiid regarding his injuries. Could we be seeing the beginning of the end for Joel Embiid in Philadelphia? Look, the Sixers are frustrated. I'm sure Joel Embiid is frustrated with how this season has gone. I'm frustrated with how this season has gone for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm sure you are as well. And if you are, I want you to let your voices be heard on the show and let Daryl Morey and this Sixers organization know that Sixers fans are fed up with how he has managed this team this season and the way this season has gone. Hit that thumbs up icon, like the video if you are upset and frustrated with how this season has gone so far. I want Daryl Morey to see just how many Sixers fans are not okay and are not going to accept the way and the direction this team has been going in. So let's get right into what Shams had to say about Embiid and about the 76ers. This team, the Sixers of course, and Joel Embiid will have to have some conversations about health. That has been the key word. I said that word yesterday. It has played such a big factor with the Philadelphia 76ers season. The unknowingness of whether he's going to play on any given night, even tonight, from what I hear, he remains rehabbing and doing everything he can to get back to the floor. But there have been some frustrations, from my understanding, throughout the year of not having him here. And that's truly not a surprise to me. And I'm not surprised that we have come to this point now with this organization where frustrations are starting to mount, tensions are starting to mount regarding the lack of availability for Joel Embiid, because he's played, just 13 games so far this season for the 76ers as we approach the NBA trade deadline. And the team is at the 11th seed right now in the Eastern Conference, looking to be more sellers than buyers. And the season has been a disaster from the start. And it centers around your MVP, your best player, not being out there on the floor each and every night. And not just the fact that he isn't out there, but the fact that you never really know one night or another if he's going to be playing. It makes Nick Nurse's job so much harder because he never knows what players he's working with, what lineups he's working with. It's hard to game plan when you don't know if your big man is going to be out there or not. And then for the other players in the team as well, when you don't know if Joel's going to be out there or not, it's hard to develop chemistry with him, specifically talking about Paul George, who's barely got to play with Embiid this season. And just everybody on the floor feeling comfortable in their roles. Guys are having to do more than they were initially supposed to and what they might used to be having to do on the floor because Embiid is not out there. And this is the first time it's publicly come out and it's been said that the Sixers are frustrated with Joel Embiid, but we've seen these frustrations really all season long, especially in head coach Nick Nurse. Every time he's asked about Joel Embiid, he just seems very, upset that he doesn't really know what's going on that's affecting his job. I mean, just look at him after a recent game in a post-game press conference, asked about Joel Embiid and the way this team is playing. It's just impossible for him to do his job the way he's supposed to do it if this is what he's getting out of Joel Embiid. So I'm not surprised that we have come to this point and that this is now starting to become public information because there's just been drama all year with the 76ers. Anytime anything happens, it seems to get out there in the public eye. One thing that Shams said that's interesting to me is that the Sixers and Embiid are going to have conversations about his health. But to me, what is there to talk about between Daryl Morey and the organization and Joel Embiid? Look, unless Embiid is choosing not to play and not attacking his rehab as hard as he should be and giving his full effort to be back out there on the floor, what more are you going to talk to him about? Now, there's been no indication that that is the case. By all accounts, Embiid is going through his rehab and trying to get back out there on the floor, so I don't want to say that he's not giving it his all and he's choosing not to play, but unless that's the case, what more is there to talk about? Are they going to go up to Embiid and say, hey Embiid, we're frustrated and we're upset that you haven't been able to be out there on the court, help this team win games? What is Embiid supposed to say? I'm sorry that I've been injured. I'm trying my best to get back out there, but I can only do so much. My body's telling me I can't play. I'm not sure what kind of conversation they're really supposed to have there unless, again, there's a way to get Embiid back out there on the floor that is up to him. But right now, I don't see that path. And for the Sixers to be frustrated, I understand because this is obviously not the season they had in mind coming into the year. But look, Daryl Morey and this organization are not clear, are not free of blame in this situation either. Think back to last season when Joel Embiid had that surgery. They rushed him back from that surgery to get him ready to go for the playoffs. And I understand it from a team perspective, and I'm sure Embiid wanted to get back and play as well. I'm sure he was a part of that decision of him getting back out there on the floor, but they did that, and they had him get that surgery knowing there could be long-term ramifications. And now the Sixers are dealing with the effects of having him have that surgery. So I'm not sure why they're surprised by this. I'm not sure that they are fully able to be frustrated by this because it was their decision to get him that surgery and to make him rush back probably earlier than he should have been. And now they're like, oh, Embiid, why are you always injured? Well, it is partly their fault, and it's also partly the fault of Daryl Morey for giving him that extension when they knew he was not going to be fully healthy. And we'll dive into that more in a little bit. But my biggest issue here with the Sixers being frustrated and trying to have these conversations, there's really no clear fix for Joel Embiid. There's no one thing they can do to get him healthy and fix the situation because he's had so many meniscus surgeries up to this point. And when he has these meniscus surgeries and the procedures they're deciding to move forward with, part of that meniscus is removed. And so then it's bone on bone in the knee, and that can just cause swelling and pain that can flare up at any time. It's not like he's dealing with an injury, be out for this long, recover, injury is okay. No, this is a long-term thing that could affect Joel Embiid for the rest of his career, frankly. And I thought Tim McMahon had a great quote about the situation to kind of put it all into perspective. These Embiid injuries, look, it's going to be chronic for the rest of his career. The guy played just 39 games last year, and honestly, that's going to be a number I'm not sure he reaches a lot moving forward in the rest of his career, unfortunately. And as I brought up briefly earlier, this really all goes back to Daryl Morey and giving him that max deal. Embiid still had 2 years left in the contract, and I get it, wanting to lock up Embiid long-term, he's your guy and whatnot, but look, reports came out that back when they were going through these contract talks and these contract extension details, they met with a dozen doctors to go through Embiid's injuries with his knee and see what they should be doing moving forward to get him ready to play. I guarantee you they met with these doctors. They said, look, there are long-term things here that simply cannot be fixed. This is just something Embiid's going to be dealing with for the rest of his life with these chronic knee issues. And Daryl Morey still decided to commit to Joel Embiid long-term. So again, I don't really know what much Daryl Morey was expecting to happen coming in this year. Just take a look at the contract that Morey decided to sign him to. Next season, Embiid on the books for 55. Year after that, 59 million. Year after that, 64 million. By the end of the contract in 2028, 2029, Joel Embiid will be making almost $70 million. And who knows if he'll even be able to play basketball at that point. So I get it. It's a concern for the Sixers. And sure, they might be frustrated he's not on the floor. But look, you committed to him long-term, knowing full well the extent of these injuries he was dealing with. So you can't just look at Embiid and say, oh man, why aren't you out there? What's going on? This is partly on you. You knew what was going on. You knew the risks, and you still decided to move forward anyways. You can't just now decide to deflect and make yourself look like the victim in this situation because you had a part in what is going on now with Joel Embiid. So this brings up a question that Sixers fans have been asking, and I've seen circulate a lot in our comment section and on social media. Do you shut Joel Embiid down for the year? Where the Sixers are at right now, with their pick being top 6 protected and them not being able to trade back for it from the Oklahoma City Thunder, do they just tank? Do they sit Joel Embiid, see if maybe they can figure out a way to get him healthy for next season? Although, again, I don't really think there is a way to fix the issues he's having right now, but maybe by sitting him for the rest of the year, you can formulate some sort of plan, which, by the way, they said they had a plan coming into the year. Clearly, whatever that plan was did not work, so they got to go back to the drawing board there. But do you just shut him down, tank, and try to get your top 6 pick? Look, it's an intriguing prospect for this team of wanting to keep that pick, and I think for the long-term future of that team, that probably is the direction you go. But again, I'm not sure it's even worth it to shut him down if there isn't a way to ensure that these injuries can be fixed. Now, the way this team's playing, even if you don't shut Embiid down, you try to get him back in the lineup. I'm sure he'll still miss games here and there. They might just lose games anyways, regardless. But again, I just don't know if shutting him down is the best move because I'm not sure it will really do anything to benefit Joel Embiid. And even if the Sixers do tank, the odds of them keeping that top 6 pick is pretty low. Right now, they're sitting at number 8 in the lottery odds. And even if they somehow do pass up the Portland Trail Blazers and the Brooklyn Nets, who are ahead of them at 7-6 in the lottery odds, and they finish as the sixth worst team in the NBA, it's only about a 50-50 shot because of the NBA's lottery odds that they keep that top 6 pick. Otherwise, it goes to OKC. So even if you do tank, you're still taking a big risk there. So there's no guarantee that shutting him down will net you that top 6 pick. And then all of a sudden, you shut Joel Embiid down, you tank the rest of your season, the fans remain unhappy, and you have absolutely nothing to show for it unless you do find a way to get Embiid healthy for next season. But I'm just not confident there really is a way to get that and make that a reality. And I wanted to, before we get out of here, bring this tweet up that I saw. So yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Joel Embiid scoring a franchise record 70 points against Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. And at that time, man, I'm just thinking back to a year ago, like the Sixers were looking good. Embiid was playing probably the best he's ever played. He was on his way to winning another MVP if he never got injured against the Golden State Warriors with Jonathan Kuminga falling on his knee. But the vibes were good with this team. They were heading into the deadline, looking to be buyers, looking to make some additions and make a run for a championship. They were one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference and one of the top teams in the NBA. So 1 year ago yesterday, Joel Embiid scored 70 points against Wembanyama. Since that day, a year ago, he has played in just 20 games. 20 games. Think about that. In the past year, 365 days, Joel Embiid has played 20 basketball games. And since that time, the Sixers are 34-49. This is a team that was a 50-win team pretty much every year when Joel Embiid was here, if not upper 40s. And right now sitting, I believe, 12 games under 500, 34-49 since that moment. The vibes have really been bad ever since that injury. And look, if he's not able to get back out there on the floor, the Sixers team isn't going to win a lot of games anyways. It's just crazy to think back to just a year ago, not that long ago, especially when you think about the NBA and think about how far this team has fallen, how far the vibes have fallen in just that short amount of time. And I brought this up at the beginning of the show, and I want to revisit this. Is this the beginning of the end for Joel Embiid in Philadelphia? We're seeing frustration start to boil over between the front office and Joel Embiid regarding him not being able to be available and be consistently out there on the floor for the 76ers. Could this start a fracture of a relationship between Embiid and the front office? Will we ever even see Joel Embiid in a Sixers jersey again? I'm sure we will, and I'm sure I'm probably overreacting a little bit here, but this is kind of the first we're seeing of a little bit of a rift between the front office and between Embiid. And if they want to take this stance Daryl Morey does of being mad at Joel Embiid and putting this on him for not being able to get out there, I'll tell you what, Joel Embiid's not going to be too happy with that. Could we potentially see the Sixers trade Joel Embiid this offseason? Now, will a team want to trade for Embiid given his age, his injury history, and his contract? It'll be tough. I'm sure there'll be some team out there that's willing to take the risk given how good of a player he is when he's out there and he's healthy. But I just think back now to the beginning of this season, how excited we were here on this channel for this season. And back to when they signed Paul George, we were saying, and analysts were saying, they could be one of the top teams in the league. And now here we are. This could be the beginning of the end for Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. So we talked a little bit about the Sixers possibly shutting Embiid down for the season. You heard my take on it, but I want you to get involved, and I want to hear your take. Should the 76ers shut Embiid down for the season? Do you think it makes sense for him, for this team? Do you want to see them tank, or would you rather them try to get Embiid back out there on the floor and win games? If you want them to shut Embiid down for the season, type Y for yes. If you want to see Embiid try to get back out there and you do not want him to be done for the year, type N for no. Don't forget to subscribe here on the channel for videos all year long on the 76ers as we approach the NBA trade deadline. Appreciate you making us a part of your day here on the show, and we'll see you next time on 76ers Now.